Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. Yesterday, I had a big show out, and what I did in that show was I talked about the key reasons that I believe we are in a perfect storm for gold, silver, other metals, copper. That is going to be one of these events that rising tide raises all boats. I put together a list of companies for yesterday's show, today's show, got another big show tomorrow, and probably on Tuesday as well. The basic arguments that I made is that I see three key reasons that we should see a very strong market for gold, silver, copper, and other base metals, and other commodities for that matter, that are priced in the US dollar. And so the big argument is that I think this US dollar is going to be under pressure. And as the US dollar is under pressure, gold, silver, copper, other commodities will go up quite significantly. Now, the key reasons that I believe the US dollar is in for a tough time are three key reasons. One is that the banking crisis. The banking crisis that started in March really drove the price of gold up quite dramatically. We had actually saw the start of a bull market for gold in November, when it moved up quite dramatically from November until end of January. Then we saw some weakness as the US dollar got stronger, based on some employment numbers, and gold and silver and other commodities went down. Then the banking crisis hit, and the US dollar came under additional pressure, and the gold and silver and other metals performed quite well. And so the banking crisis, I think, is a long way from being over. These things have a contagion type effect. The Silicon Valley banks of the world and these other Credit Suisse, First Republic, and others, all have a common theme in that they have these portfolios of assets, including long-term bonds and mortgage-backed securities that are underwater due to all the interest rate increases by the Federal Reserve over the last year. And I believe that the Federal Reserve has caused a lot of these problems. In that, we had 14 years after the economic crisis in 2008 of near zero interest rates. And then in 2022, they started the process and have continued it till their last meeting to get interest rates up near 5%. That's still below inflation, but it's a dramatic thing to raise interest rates that significantly, and they are breaking things. One of those things is the banking system. And as I said, I don't think that these that have had problems so far are isolated incidents. I think that there's lots of other banks out there and other institutions that are holding similar assets as Silicon Valley Bank. In fact, I don't hear much about it, but the reality is that the Federal Reserve has the biggest balance sheet of those kind of assets. And so, the idea that the Federal Reserve has caused a lot of this banking issues and not taking any credit for that is troublesome. But I don't think that it's over with. I think that there's going to be lots of ramifications due to what we've already seen start in the early part of March. Now, another key reason that I think that the US dollar is going to be under pressure is I believe that the Federal Reserve is going to have to stop raising interest rates. Not only have they broke the banking system, they have also caused problems in the housing market. They've caused problems in car sales, in big ticket items. The consumers are making ends meet using their credit cards, and a lot of those credit card interest rates are 19%. These kind of things can't continue. And there's another looming problem that is affected by interest rates. It's the commercial real estate market. A lot of that bubble was built on those near zero interest rates. And so a lot of those, and after COVID, they didn't really recover because there's still high vacancies in a lot of commercial real estate, because basically people found out that they didn't need to commute and then to work in an office. They could work from outside at their own home office. And sometimes more, I've been working out of my own home office since 2005. And it gave me I used to spend 3 hours a day on the road. Then I didn't have to spend 3 hours a day on the road. And for my clients, they would send me information that they needed to be put into news releases and other things like that. And by the time they were there the next morning, I would have all my work done. And so it does create some efficiencies, and you're not able to do much work when you're commuting. And so that's why the vacancy rates are very high. And then you've got this, that commercial real estate market was built on near zero interest rates since 2008. So I think there's a lot of looming problems in the commercial bank or commercial real estate market as well. And so all of these things are related to the Federal Reserve's relentless interest rate increases that took things from near zero interest rates all the way up to near 5% interest rates. And I think that with everything breaking the way it is, I don't think the Federal Reserve can continue to raise interest rates for very much longer. I would make the case that I believe they have to stop and allow inflation to run hotter and the economy to run hotter than they feel comfortable with, and hope that they can grow their way out of this problem that they've created. And another big factor is the currency wars that are currently happening. You're seeing Russia, China, other BRIC nations that are seeing that the US dollar is troubled, if you to say it kindly. And when an animal is weak or old or sick, the predators will come out and attack that animal. And I think we're seeing that now with these trading blocks starting to want to put some pressure on the US dollar as the world reserve currency. And other things that are happening in that currency war that is quite interesting to me is that many of the central banks of the world have been buying gold aggressively since the 2008 economic crisis. 2022 was a record year, and I think 2023 is going to break those records of central bankers buying gold. And so what they're basically trying to do is to divest themselves of US dollars and increase their gold holdings. So they're somewhat putting themselves on a bit of a gold standard. And then if you have these competing currencies for trade, they're de facto under somewhat of a gold standard as well. And what that is telling investors out there is that investors should probably really be looking at creating their own gold standard by You know, instead of sitting on cash, they could be sitting on gold to protect their cash from all inflation, banking crisis, debt problems, the printing press of the US dollar. I think that, like the central bankers, I think investors could benefit from holding more gold as well. And that is the rising tide. Now, as the tide rises, I believe that we're going to see a lot of generalist investors start to get positioned into gold and gold, silver, and other mining stocks that will do well as the price of the metals go up. And so I believe that for those that want to protect their cash, gold is a hell of a good parking spot to protect against those issues that I've already explained. And for those that want to grow their money, that gold, silver, copper, lithium, and other metals stocks are the way to grow, because we're seeing that even though gold is now nearing record highs, and I think we're only maybe a matter of days or at most a couple of weeks away from seeing new record highs in the price of gold. And that will be bullish for silver as well. And I think there's lots of arguments to be positive on copper with what's happening with the electric vehicle revolution. It's going to need a lot of copper. It's going to need a lot of lithium. As the transition to new energy, I think you're going to need a lot of zinc and other cobalt and other key metals to not only make electric vehicles run, but also to create the energy for those electric vehicles and to get that energy out to the cars. Copper is a critical metal, and it's the most critical metal. I think that copper is looking very good, as are several other metals. And as more general investors find their way to this mining sector, you're seeing valuations of these metal stocks are at very almost record, if not record low valuations relative to what they have in the ground. And so you have a lot of torque in the stocks, the metal stocks. And as more generalist investors, and we don't need a lot of generalist investors to start coming into this sector because it's so small relative to the other sector, technology and all kinds of other sectors are much bigger than the mining stocks. And so, as I said, I think there's a perfect storm happening for metal stocks. And yesterday, I talked about i-80 Gold, McEwen Mining, Dynasty Gold, Amex Exploration, and Advanced Lithium. If you want to see that show, just go to my YouTube channel and look up Rocks and Stocks News on YouTube, or you can also find it on my Substack at rocksandstocks.substack.com. So today I've got a new batch for you, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to here and do a share screen. Just give me one brief moment here and I'll get the share screen going. And here's the gold move. Look at this move since the banking crisis started. Look at this move that happened in early or late November, where gold or early November, gold had a tremendous run until February. Then it had some weakness as the US dollar gained a bid, but then you saw a double bottom, and then the banking crisis hit, and gold is off to the races again. So now what I'm going to do is the first company I'm going to talk about today is Blackrock Silver. Blackrock Silver is a sponsor of my shows. And I think that they're very undervalued. They bottomed out here at 27 cents in 24th of March. And since then, they've been firming up as the price of gold and silver has firmed up. They have two excellent projects. One is in Tonopah, Nevada, where they have a resource of high-grade silver in a very important historical mining camp. And they're showing that those old timers left a lot of meat on the bone. And I believe that this company's resource is going to get much bigger, and it's very high grade. It reminds me a lot of the Las Chispas project that is owned by Silvercrest. In fact, there's a lot of similarities in the maiden resource estimate for Las Chispas. It's very much like what Blackrock put out in their maiden resource estimate. And since then, Las Chispas has grown quite dramatically. And I think that you're going to see the same thing happen with the resource that Blackrock Silver has in Tonopah. Another project that they have that I'm very excited about is their Silver Cloud project, also in Nevada. And what excites me about that project is they drilled a hole into an epithermal vein. And in that epithermal vein, they hit 70 grams of gold and over 600 grams of silver. So what that tells you, in these epithermal veins, you need to find the boiling zone, and that can be various different distances from the surface. But a seminal moment in the exploration of an epithermal vein is when you hit the boiling zone. And it's very clear from that one hole that they drilled and reported already that they have hit the bonanza zone, the boiling zone of an epithermal vein system. Now, another interesting factor is that to their north and to their east are very high-grade mines of epithermal veins that were low-cost producers, high-grade, high margins, and free cash flowing machines. And I think that, what's known around them and what's known from the hole that they drilled into that Northwest Canyon project or area is very exciting. Often where you find one epithermal vein, you also find more. So I think that there's potential in around that known vein that they hit the bonanza grades on, that they could find more veins. And because they kind of know the depth that they need to go to hit the boiling zone of epithermal veins in that area, they're very far advanced in their understanding of where they would want to target those if they find new epithermal veins, where they would target to find the boiling zone. And so they've got two great silver and gold projects in Nevada. I think the company is very oversold here. And they're getting ready to crank up the drilling at both of those projects. And they also have a significant interest in a lithium project that's being developed by another company. And they're spending their money to advance that project. And I hear that there could be some news out from the lithium stuff as well in the not too distant future. Not long ago, I did an interview with Andrew Pollard, who is the CEO of the company. And I think it's a great place for investors that are interested in the company to start their due diligence. And you can find that on my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News, or on my Substack at rocksandstocks.substack.com. So that is one company I wanted to talk about. Another company I want to talk about is Bell Copper. Bell Copper is in Arizona. They are looking for an elephant copper deposit in an area that's very well known for elephant copper deposits. I had an interview not too long ago with their CEO, and Tim Marsh, and he made the statement that their previous hole into this key target probably clipped the edge of an elephant, and now they're drilling into what they think could be the guts of the elephant. Tim knows Arizona copper deposits extremely well. Super smart guy, excellent explorationist. He's a great geologist. He knows what he's doing. And I got my fingers crossed for Tim because I think he's onto something very spectacular. And in the not too distant future, we should know more about that. They're drilling right now. I think that at any time they could start putting out news such as, in any system, you're going to see alteration as you get close to the deposit. And the recent drilling that they've done could be getting very close to the alteration above the deposit they think they have and that they're drilling for. And so that's one update. They start seeing the right kind of rocks in the drill hole below the alteration. And that could get very exciting. Then, of course, we would see the assay results from that. Recently, as you can see here, the company had a pretty good breakout in early March that took the stock above the 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average. Right now, they're at a golden cross. It's not going to take much of a breakout here, maybe go up to 25, 30 cents, and that golden cross will become more apparent. And I think there's great potential to see the 200-day and the 50-day and the stock price all pointing in a bullish direction. And it's funny sometimes that, technical indicators can sort of tell you what's going on with the company. And there's been recent optimism towards what's going on. And I think that the market is starting to anticipate that maybe Tim and his team at Bell Copper have drilled into or are close to drilling into a copper elephant in copper elephant country. So I think a good place to start your due diligence would be with that recent interview I did with Tim. Again, find it on my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News or on the Substack at rocksandstocks.substack.com. And do your homework on it. I really like this story a lot. I got another copper story for you, and that is Faraday Copper. And Faraday Copper is a pick that I've made a couple times recently, and since the first time was in January sometime, and they're moving up quite dramatically since this low down here at 36 cents, around 36 cents, and have had a significant breakout that took it above the 50-day moving average. Then in January, it broke above the 200-day moving average. Also in January, January, we saw a golden cross. And this is a chart that is outperforming a lot of its peers. And the reason is that they've been putting out a lot of great drilling results that suggest that they're also onto a very exciting copper project. And as you can see here, it's trading over its 52-week moving average, or 50 yearly high. Sorry, and you got to go back to forever to find that this is their all-time high. And this recent action here really suggests to me that the market is quite bullish on this company. And the company's loaded up with cash, really big. You know, it's trading significantly above 20 some cents above the 50-day moving average, and almost double the 200-day moving average. The 200-day moving average is now starting to turn bullish and move up. The 50-day has been on a tremendous trajectory since way back here, and you got the stock trading above those trends. So I think there's a lot more blue sky ahead for Faraday Copper. And never done an interview with them, made them a pick a few times. I think I even included them in my, oh, I can't remember the first time I included. I think it was back here somewhere. Right around 80 cents is the number that's stuck in my head. So yeah, do your homework on Faraday Copper. Okay, now we're going to move over to Firefox. And Firefox is I think they're very oversold here, trading right around their 52-week low. And I just, it boggles my mind that they are trading this low, because they're in Finland. Finland is becoming, you know, Rupert and other companies in there have had tremendous success. These guys have had very good success in their early stage drilling, very shallow and close to surface with very high grades. But they're not getting a lot of love. And I believe that these kind of companies that are dramatically oversold, when we have this rising tide lifts all boats kind of market that I see happening, I think that this is the kind of company that will be one of those outperformers in a rising tide lifts all boats kind of a market. And they've got a great group of projects in Finland. I think there's going to be a lot more enthusiasm towards Finland, and you know, you can't miss them when you're looking at projects in Finland. So I like the Firefox story a lot as well. The next company I'm going to talk about is Galantis Gold. And interesting enough, this morning or earlier today, I did an interview with Mario Stefano of Galantis Gold, and I should be putting that out either Monday or Tuesday morning. I haven't quite decided yet when I'll put it out, but we had a great conversation about their well, Mario is has an economics degree and is a very sharp guy when it comes to the markets for the US dollar, economics, and precious and base metals. And we talked about the reasons why he thinks that there's that the trend is bullish for precious and base metals. And they've got themselves very well positioned for both copper and gold. And they're a sponsor of my shows. So that's why I'm able to, the companies that are sponsors of my shows, they enable me to be able to put out a lot of content and specific content on those particular companies that are sponsors. And in the interview that we did earlier today, Mario and I talked about their VMS project in Scotland. It's in the right age of rocks. It's got indications that there's high grade copper and gold in a VMS system, which makes it kind of unique. A lot of the VMS deposits, well, at the top of the VMS deposit, you'll see silver, lead, and zinc. And then due to zonation of grade, as you get closer to the heat engine, you'll run into a copper and gold enriched zone. And it looks like they've got the potential that the copper and gold zone is right at surface, based on some historical drilling, some historical samplings, and so I'm very bullish on their VMS project. But the main reason that I'm so bullish on Galantis is for their gold project in Northern Ireland. What impresses me about that is it's an orogenic gold system. You know, I'm a big fan of orogenic gold systems because, you know, you look at Red Lake, Ontario, where Gold Corp had their mine, or you look at Fosterville, where the Swan Zone was found and mined by Kirkland Lake, and Kirkland Lake ultimately was one of the best performers of their peers during the when they were mining that Swan Zone. It was really low cost and very high grade, so it was a free cash flowing machine that ultimately led them to being a big buyout and a huge winner for their investors. Now, interesting enough, the guy who ran Kirkland Lake is also an advisor to Galantis, so he knows what these orogenic gold systems look like. And what really excites me about, and I talked a lot about this with Mario, is that that they've only drilled very shallow, down only a couple 100 meters, and these orogenic gold systems tend to go, you know, several thousand meters below surface. And when you're in the top of the system or the extension, you're farthest away from the heat engine that brought that gold mineralization to the surface through key faulting, these deep crustal cracks in the earth that are the conduit for those fluids carrying the gold to come up through. What I think is, some of the things that I think are very important is they're up at the top of the system where you generally only get fine-grained gold, and they're hitting excellent grades. And as you get deeper into the system, which they're starting to do their drilling now to go deeper into that system, you get more coarse gold as you get closer to the heat engine. Another important thing is that they have a series of veins that are in close proximity to each other. And I believe as they go deeper into the system, not only will they hit the coarser gold, but they'll also find that those veins come together at depth. And there's an important, not too far to the south of this series of veins, is a deep crack in the earth, the crustal faults, crustal cracks that allow those fluids to make their way up. So I believe they have that as they get deeper, they're going to get closer to that fault and find that you know, they've got jewelry box grades down, bonanza grades down in as you get deeper. And I don't think they got to go a whole lot deeper before they start hitting coarser gold. And as I said earlier, that's what they're doing right now with their drilling. Stay tuned for that interview that I hope to put out in the next day or two for Galantis Gold. It's really informative and will help you learn more about Galantis Gold. Okay, got a couple more to talk about. Golden Lake Exploration or Resources is a company where I'm an advisor. They're a sponsor of my show. Why I'm so excited about them is that yesterday I talked about I-80 Gold and the Bonanza CRD that they have, that not only has CRD metals such as silver, lead, and zinc, but it also has an overprint of very high grade to bonanza grade gold in it. And so basically, you know, the same conduit or same cracks in the earth that the CRD made their way up, at a different time, the gold made its way up through that same conduit. And now they've got zones that have the CRD metals, silver, lead, and zinc, as well as the gold. And this makes for extremely high value rock on the in situ value of the metals in that rock. And the Eureka, this is in Eureka, Nevada, and the Eureka, Nevada was well known for these bonanza CRDs. They started mining in that area in the 1860s until about the 1960s, so about 100 years. And then things kind of went dormant, if you will, for many years until I-80 Gold started having great success there. and their next door neighbor to the south, Paycore, also found the same kind of bonanza grade CRDs. And now i-80 Gold is in the final stages of taking over Paycore. And to their immediate south, or what will now be the i-80 Gold and the Paycore ground will belong all to i-80 Gold once the takeover is over. And to the immediate south is Golden Lake Exploration. Oh, I forgot to bring their stock chart up. Sorry about that. And on the Golden Lake Exploration ground, the company has already found a high grade, a bonanza grade CRD with those CRD metals, silver, lead, and zinc, as well as an overprint of very high grade to bonanza grade gold. And so they're getting ready to drill more around that. They've also done a lot of surface sampling because there was on the Golden Lake Exploration ground, there was a bunch of historical mining that was done there. They went in and did a bunch of surface sampling and found those same bonanza CRD metals and high-grade gold in the surface around where the historical mining has been. So this is a sub $10 million valuation company, but they've got a very good ground land package in one of the most exciting new discovery areas in Nevada, or one could make the argument maybe in the world, of the grades that i-80 Gold and Paycore are hitting. And I think that Golden Lake Exploration has that potential as well. They bottomed out here back in late 2022 at about, let's say, 4.5 cents. Trading at 10 cents right now. I think it's kind of quiet at the moment because they're getting ready to drill. And when they do, I think there's several catalysts that could drive their stock valuation. One is gold gets stronger. Second is that i-80 Gold makes more noise from the ongoing drilling that they are doing next door to what will be next door to Golden Lake, and then also their own drilling, which should get underway in the next couple months or so. So they've got a lot of catalysts. They're well positioned in a great mining camp that's being revived due to the success of i-80 Gold and Paycore. They're neighbors to the immediate north. And I think Golden Lake has the potential to deliver some great stuff as well. Okay, the final company I'm going to talk about today is Goliath. Let me pull up their chart. Goliath is a new sponsor of my shows. I have had one interview with the company so far, and I've made them a pick, Goliath Resources. And recently, just in the last few days, they decided that they wanted to become a sponsor of my shows. And what I'm working on is, when I have a new sponsor, I generally will write an article about that company, welcoming them to the Rocks and Stocks News sponsorship program. And I try to put out a lot of great details about that. So stay tuned for that. I think I'll probably have that out Monday or Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. But I'm working on it. It's coming together very nicely. And what really excites me about the company is that they're in the Golden Triangle, not very far from infrastructure and roads and water, the barging access, and close to power. They have had a couple of seasons of drilling, and so far they've found one main zone, and then it has layers. It's like layers of a cake, or zones that are stacked up on top of each other. And in those layers of that cake, they have found, I think the average grade is about 6.5 grams. And they've also done some metallurgical work, and it looks like the gold will be very easy to recover from those various different zones that are stacked on top of each other. Now, what also makes me very excited about this project is that you overlay where these layers of zones are, and then in right in the middle of those zones is they've got two faults and a third one that comes in from the northeast, and that's where that's where all of the gold mineralization is located. And what's interesting is, as you follow these sheets down the mountain and you follow these faults down the mountain, they all seem to be coalescing together. And so that suggests to me that there is the potential that as they keep following them down the mountain, where the faulting and the layers of the cake are coming together, that you could find the primary source or the vent that, you know, where all of these gold bearing fluids and other metals made their way up to surface. And so what is also quite exciting is, so they've got the excellent grades, big zones that are wide open to keep getting bigger. They've got the faulting, they've got the metallurgical work, and they've done an important, there's been an important paper written on this project. And what I find quite intriguing about that is that the paper is starting to show that, are starting to explain that this is a very big and powerful mineralizing system. And they also believe that in beyond the area, their sherbet area, that there are potential for other zones that could be related to one big powerful, and some of these zones are that of interest are quite a distance from the sherbet zone. So I'm really happy to have them on as a sponsor. I think that you can see an important triple bottom here. And what's also important is that you're starting to see higher lows. And it's now looking like it can break through the 50-day moving average and then start trending towards the 200-day moving average. The 200-day moving average is sitting at about $1.04 right now. So I think there's a significant amount of gains to be had between these two, the 200-day and the 50-day. And then very shortly after I think we're going to see a breakout to the upside, they're going to start their drilling again on the sherbet zone. And I think they're also going to be doing some drilling on other targets as well. So I am writing an article about them right now to welcome them as a new sponsor of my show. And then I will be interviewing a follow-up interview with their key management. I already had one interview with them, and I'm looking forward to the next. These guys are very sharp and strong geological team. You know, when they present their models and their geological story, it's very impressive. And a lot of companies, while they're waiting for the drilling season to start in the Golden Triangle, they kind of go into hibernation. This team does not go into hibernation. They're putting out news, they're putting out studies, they're doing metallurgical work, they're actively out there telling their story. And I'm glad that I'll be able to create a lot of content about Goliath. And I would encourage you to look forward to that new report that I'll put out. Now, if you want to receive those through email, or if you want to receive notice of those, you can either follow me on my Twitter at Allan B Reports on Twitter, or sign up on my Substack. You can sign up as a paid subscriber for very little, or if you're so inclined, you can put more in. But then I've also got free subscription, and you know, they get all my subscribers get all my work. The paid subscribers, when I have notes out that I want to put together brief notes, the paid subscribers get that, but all of my key content goes out to everybody. So go to my Substack at Rocks and Stocks News, or sorry, rocksandstocks.substack.com, and sign up for a subscription. And when I put that Goliath report out, you'll get that through Substack. So there you go. That's another in my latest series. I did one yesterday. I did one today. Today is Sunday, the 16th of April. And tomorrow and the next day, I'll be putting out another of the group of my top picks and my sponsors. And it's about a 50-50 mix. And what I try to do is I follow different themes, so that, you know, because not all investors are going to look for the same kind of companies. So I try to create a menu of good companies that I believe are going to do very well as we come into what is now a strong market for the price of gold, heading towards record highs. As this is happening, more generalist investors are going to start investing in gold, silver, and other commodities. And also the torque will be in the stocks of the companies that are either exploring, developing, or mining the metals, because they're all trading. Many of them are trading at record lows, valuations relative to what they have in the ground. So as always, my shows are for information purposes only. It's important for you to speak with your financial advisor before making any investment decision. You can also and do your homework. You can do a lot of that. I've interviewed a lot of the companies. You can find that on my YouTube at Rocks and Stocks News, or you can find it also at Substack at rocksandstocks.substack.com. And go to their websites, check out their news releases, look at their corporate presentations. And I think you'll find a lot of reasons why I make them picks or invite them to be sponsors of my show. So have a great day. Stay tuned for more work from Rocks and Stocks News, and we'll talk to you soon.